Back at it again. All right, see you in a place to be. Ric Serritella here on this Wednesday, August 5th, 2021. It is the state of football. It is season 2, episode 4, part 263 edition. And it is also NFL preseason Hall of Fame kickoff. It is Canadian football season kickoff. It is the state of football, your new home for real football talk in the mornings. And we got another jam-packed edition. It's like a historical show every day when you tune in on the state of football, starting on Monday when we had the Pro Football Hall of Fame CEO David Baker, along with Brian Baldinger. Tuesday was another star-studded affair. We had Mike Crawford from the Hall of Fame Village talking about the $900 million Disneyland of football being created at the premises of the Canton Hall of Fame. When you go there this weekend, if you're joining in the festivities, you'll see what's happening. Yesterday, wow. Amanda Ruler joined us there from Canada. We had the ELF commissioner, the European League of Football, join us and give us an update there. In fact, we're going to have an ELF representative every Wednesday, along with the CFL representative, hopefully, as well. We'll get into some predictions later on in the show. Oh, by the way, we had Franco Harris yesterday. Are you kidding me? From one Jersey Paisan to another. And you got to tune in for that. I mean, he broke down the Immaculate Reception, which is 50 years ago this week, or 50 years ago this year. Wow. That was a lot of fun. And so today, we have the usual suspects back for season 2. We'll have Inside the League CEO Neil Stratton later on in the show, giving us an update on that NFLPA agent exam that went down yesterday. Nearly 500 new applicants taking that exam. So we'll dive into some of the specifics there. But to kick things off first is my compadre from the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. You see, I'm representing Canton. I'm representing the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl. Oh, by the way, we had Catherine Schlossman, the LA sports commissioner, on yesterday, the Super Bowl host, and she's coming out to the Rose Bowl to check out the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, which will be held January 22nd, 2021 in the great city of Pasadena. And the director of that event joins us right now, Dane Vandernat, of course, former Oakland Raiders pro personnel director for nearly a decade in the game, and checking in from his new digs out in Kansas City there. Congrats, Dane. How are you this morning? Thanks for joining us. I hope you've been enjoying your July, but now it's August. It's time for that fire.
That's right, baby. We got football on tonight, and thank God for it, man. If there's anything that can get you over the pain of moving and all that it entails, it is actually being able to sit down tonight and turn on ESPN and get a little live pro football, man. Can't wait.
Yeah, and Dane was scrambling here right before the show to slide in all those boxes, those closets you see behind him. He had to get all the boxes in there and tidy up for the show here. But no, it's just a great day to wake up and know that not only does the NFL preseason kick off, the CFL season is back. We're so happy to see that. And the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl coverage kicks off once again here on the State of Football every Thursday. Now, in the month of June, we recapped all the offensive positions, the top seniors, so to speak, some watch list guys that we're going to be keeping an eye on and monitoring. And so we'll kick off our defensive coverage today. We'll get into down linemen in just a little bit here. You don't want to miss that. But first, football season is here when you can't keep up with the news, Dane, and it's happening fast. It's happening furiously. And so I want to get your take on this because Chris Trapasso from CBS Sports reports talks between the Eagles and Texans heating up in regards to Deshaun Watson. Now, I'm a little bit surprised. One, the NFL hasn't provided any kind of public update in terms of where this legal process is, what the review situation is. And so the Eagles, and in my understanding, would be trading for a player that is kind of under a legal cloud, uncertainty in terms of if he'll even be eligible to play. Now, he's in Texans camp, so he's not getting fined. but he's not participating because he has a quote unquote ankle injury. Are they saying, hey, Deshaun, we're trading you, just hang tight here? But take me through the front office kind of mind frame here, Dane, when you're thinking about trading for a guy in a murky situation here. Do you remember a situation during your time with the Raiders, or if Dane Vandernat, the GM, is kind of vetting Deshaun Watson, the quarterback? How would you go about a process like this?
Yeah, I mean, ultimately, if it is the Eagles, you're talking about a high risk, high reward type situation. I mean, really, if it's the Eagles or not. I mean, anyone that would want to trade for Deshaun Watson with so many of those unknowns that you're alluding to, I mean, to me, is too risky at this point in time, right? Will the lawsuits be settled and he'll still be suspended? We don't know. Will he go to criminal proceedings and have to spend time behind bars? We don't know. While that latter one may be the most unlikely or improbable, it's still possible. So it's really difficult for me, despite the fact that you can always add terms to a trade agreement that, hey, we'll send you 3 that can become, 2 ones for all intents and purposes based on games started or production, what have you. You can always craft trade agreements like that. But to me, it's just too risky, but even more so telling on how they feel of Jalen Hurts. Ultimately, it's a reflection of where they are with their own team. If you feel that Jalen Hurts has potential to be your franchise quarterback and is looking good, then why even go down this road? If you do, while I certainly consider Deshaun Watson one of the top 10, if not higher, quarterbacks in the NFL, if this issue goes away or aside, because the player is so dynamic, I can understand teams having interest. But if you feel confident where you are, you don't make this move. If you don't, then I think you're already late to the game and you're scrambling a little bit right now. So maybe you are going to be, a little bit more risk averse and willing to, go through with something like this.
Yeah, and it's interesting because you mentioned, hey, you could structure a deal where the compensation, depending on games played and playing time, you can get a better pick out of the deal. Well, the Eagles just structured a deal like that with the Carson Wentz trade, and now they're not going to get as great as compensation as they could have with the recent Carson Wentz injury. But it seems like since that Super Bowl, Dane, it's just been a revolving door at the quarterback position there, from Wentz to Foles to the Indiana quarterback with Nate Sudfeld, Jalen Hurts, and now Deshaun Watson. Being that there are really kind of quarterback question marks throughout that division in the NFC least. Do you think Deshaun Watson puts the Eagles in contention to win the division if he's not suspended?
Yeah, in a perfect world, they execute this trade, get Deshaun Watson. Then I think, one, they not only have the best quarterback in their division, they may be primed to do a lot of things. But I mean, we're also talking about a rookie head coach that's never been a head coach before, Nick Sirianni. And we all know that the Eagles kind of have a way that they operate, and they bring in their coaching staff to accommodate their process. So, we have to see how fast Nick Sirianni and his staff is going to be able to, get buy-in from all these new players and how quickly that they can do everything. It's very improbable, and it's never been done that a rookie head coach has ever gone to a Super Bowl and won it. So it's interesting to think of them as a real contender, even if they pull off this trade. But certainly Deshaun Watson is such a superstar player, all of this background aside, that, it could really turn the tables a little bit.
Yeah, I think it could. I think it could put a smile maybe on Zach Ertz's face as well, and suddenly that situation goes away. And what a tandem that would be, Watson and Ertz, and they've got a stable of running backs there to get it done by the committee. But you talked about the culture and the team buying in. We had Brian Baldinger on the show on Monday, who was fresh out of Jaguars camp, and he said he's all in on Jacksonville. And Urban Meyer, he said the players are willing to run through a brick wall for this guy. And he said it's just remarkable to watch the practice. He said it reminded him of a training camp 30 years ago. And so I read this morning that Urban Meyer now is kind of using one-on-ones to, one, enhance the competitiveness and the atmosphere during training camp practices. And two, he's tallying winners and losers now and making that be known that, hey, this can go away here now in terms of you bottom of the roster players. We're going to add up these one-on-one reps and see, and I always love one-on-ones, right? But I've never heard of a coach using it to actually dictate the roster spots. Have you, Dane? Do you like these methods, or do you think they're a little unorthodox?
They're definitely unorthodox for time and place as we are now. I love the spirit of competition. I love the competitive nature that Urban Meyer's talking about. If you've ever listened to Urban Meyer's old podcast he did on leadership and coaching, it's terrific. Urban Meyer is a motivational speaker. He's an excellent football coach, as we know from, what was it, Bowling Green or Northern Illinois before he went to Utah, and all the success that he's had every stop along the way. So I applaud Urban Meyer. I think very highly of him from a coaching standpoint. But unfortunately, this is his first foray into the NFL, and the way that roster decisions are made and the cap implications of these things is something that he's not accustomed to at this point. And just because a player wins in August in training camp does not mean that that player is going to be the best player on the field come week 11 when we're trying to win games late in the season and make the playoff. You got to remember, there's a big learning curve going from college to the NFL. So if you're talking about rookie players that are out in one-on-ones right now, I don't expect them to always win. I don't expect them to be the best player on the field in August and July. I expect them to get better and hopefully contribute to us later in the season and hopefully in the postseason. And the other thing that we got to remember too is that, for veterans, it's much different than in college because here the contracts are real. We can't be getting our veteran high-paid players injured by doing one-on-ones every single day. We do need to take into account some of the sports science and rep management and stress management, especially that our older players are going to be enduring, so that we can have them at their best come game day, not necessarily week 1 of training camp. So there are a lot of different things that go into play. I get his context of, hey, if we're talking about the 51st, 52nd, 53rd guy on the roster, we're going to want guys that compete and that win. And like I said, I commend the spirit of competition, but sometimes, though, you have other roster decision-making implications like special teams value, like guys that, still have a little bit more talent and are going to be a better player, maybe not even this year, but next year. And if we cut them now, we're going to lose that player forever. So there's a lot that factor into these decisions all the time. So it would be interesting to see how the full team buys in and how successful it's going to lead them to be.
I'm curious to see where it goes. There's a little bit of Steve Spurrier-esque type of feel. Spurrier bringing in Danny Werfel, Urban Meyer bringing in Tim Tebow. I don't know. It could go one way or the other. I don't think there will be an in-between. I'm excited to see it. But when we're talking about culture and unorthodox training methods, I want to get into one more before we get to the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl director, Dane Vandernat, here on the State of Football. I'm going to break down top defensive line prospects heading into the season. We can't wait for that. I can't wait to get back out to Giants camp tomorrow because I want to pick your brain on this one now. Joe Judge. There's a lot of talk going on here in Jersey and New York in the tri-state area about his coaching, and he's building up quite the resume, Dane. In fact, a third player just retired just days after signing with the team with the Big Blue. And so Kelvin Benjamin being one of them, and basically saying Joe Judge will never be a successful head coach. All he does is walk around and curse. Ty Davis, Joe Looney, they lasted about a day or two in camp and hung up the cleats. There was a 90-man brawl. The entire team was involved the other day. Daniel Jones at the bottom of the pile. The previous day, Joe Judge threw the whole team out, including the coaches, running laps around the field. That, to me, rubs me off a little bit in a poor fashion because if they're on an NFL coaching staff that you handpicked, these are supposed to be guys that are at the elite of their profession. You're paying them good money to do it. Now they're running laps with the players because you're unhappy with the practice. I mean, maybe you should run the laps, Joe Judge. I mean, what do you make of this kind of coaching philosophy, Dane, that the Giants really haven't seen since Tom Coughlin?
Yeah, and obviously leadership starts at the top, right? As your point, this is your hand-picked staff. These are your hand-picked players. So it is a reflection on you as a head coach too, and that's obviously what's also angering him. The important part that I always have, though, is when we're talking about disciplining and throwing the team out of practice and this and that, are we wasting time that we could have developing our skill and enhancing our execution of the playbook, right? Is this taking away from that just so that we can go run laps for the sake of running laps? I get it. It's hot. It's summertime. It's humid outside, especially in the east and in the south. Nobody wants to be out doing any more, calisthenics and any more, really disciplinary drills just for the sake of it, right? There's a lot we can get accomplished going inside and talking over and, going through the mistakes we made. But when we're on the practice field, we only have a certain amount of time. We only have so many hours in the day that we get a chance to be on the field with our pads on, with our helmet on, going through, getting these reps, which are very important. Maybe not so much for Daniel Jones, maybe not so much for Saquon Barkley, but for those guys that are backups, that it's a first year with the team, we need those guys to get reps and to be going through, because this is a learning process. Training camp is about gelling. It's about improving every single day. So for these players, now we're losing those opportunities to go through the muscle memory of the rep, of getting the finer coaching points on the route that we ran or the technique that we employed. And instead, we're just running gassers. So to me, hopefully it was a one-time thing where, hey, you know what, we lost one day. That's fine. Every team can afford to lose one day or half of a practice to discipline, so long as the message gets heard and everybody's on the same page going forward. But I promise you, when you look at Joe Judge's schedule for training camp, there are important things every single day is set to accomplish. And if we're just doing disciplinary stuff, we just missed out on those opportunities to learn what was on that sheet for the day.
No, and I agree. I mean, you could run the extra gassers after practice, and it might actually be more of a punishment. Still utilize the time, get a learning experience, and then have them run the gassers. But yeah, I think they had to do like a dozen 100-yard gassers the other day, and some of these guys were looking at each other a little sideways, like, "Are you serious right now?"
Yeah.
So,
And I mean, again, when we're talking about Urban Meyer, from college to the pros, and, obviously Joe Judge kind of having that authoritarian type mentality. Look, those guys wouldn't last much longer in the NFL. Again, due to the economics of the NFL, you're going to lose players who are going to sit there and say, hey, look, I don't need to do this. I don't need to put up with this. And you're obviously seeing some players decide to retire, although it sounds like the Kelvin Benjamin experiment wasn't going to work anyway. But, for other guys that make a lot of money, you're not going to cut them because they didn't want to run a gasser, and all of a sudden you got to assume the salary cap implication of it. So there are other decisions that go on behind closed doors that head coaches and people like to talk about. It's all on the field. It's not always on the field. It also comes down to spreadsheets and some of those things as well.
All right, very good stuff. Dane Vandernat here on the State of Football. Samantha, cue up the State of Football promo. We're going to take a quick 20-second break and come right back. Samantha's in North Jersey studios producing the show from up North Jersey. I'm here at the great island of the Jersey Shore doing the show. Dane Vandernat out in Kansas City. We're trying to get it right, get it tight. Samantha's telling me I need to pull the earplug, so we'll run the State of Football promo. We'll come right back, reset, and break down the top defensive linemen heading into the 2021 college football season.
All right, back at it again. I told you we'd be right back. Don't go nowhere. It wasn't a bathroom break. It wasn't a refrigerator break. Maybe it was a coffee break. I missed Samantha getting me my coffee refills over here on the State of Football Part 263 edition, Wednesday, August the 5th. The State of Football Season 2, Episode 4. We've got Dane Vandernat, former pro personnel director with the Oakland Raiders, current director of the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl, which will take place January 22nd. I had some teams hit me up saying there's rumors about the game being moved. There's rumors about the new hotel. No, that's hearsay. It's January 22nd, Intercontinental Hotel, Rose Bowl, Pasadena. It's locked, loaded, ready to go. And our watch list will be premiering soon, so stay tuned for that. Dane Vandernat's going to give you a little taste of some of the top senior down lineman defensive prospects. Dane, I'm going to let you just take them all at once and throw them out there. I'll wait till the end to react. But let's break down some of the top defensive line prospects heading into the 2021 college football season. Take it away.
Yeah, I'm going to start just a little bit down the road for me here at Oklahoma. We got two studs down there, Rick, and Isaiah Thomas and Perion Winfrey. One plays defensive end. That's Isaiah Thomas. He's a redshirt senior entering his third year there as a starter. Led the team last year with 8.5 sacks and 13 TFLs. He's primarily a 7 technique, which means that he lines up outside of the tight end in base defense, but he also can reduce down in sub packages to rush over a guard, take advantage of his motor, his athleticism. Love the hustle to the football from this guy. He makes plays down the field. When you throw on the tape against Texas, he had a great hustle play down there, go recover a fumble. You call that running out of the stack, right? You get all stacked up with all the offensive and defensive linemen all huddled together. Well, you like to see guys that can turn out of that thing and go pursue the football 40 yards down the field. Isaiah Thomas is one of those guys. He's physical as a rusher, has the quicks to win with finesse, but he's also can play with power, right? Excellent ankle flexion. When you sit there and look at what some of these defensive ends that like to get upfield and try and run around the tackle, he has the ability, once he gets beyond the tackle, to turn his ankle sideways and flatten to the quarterback, right? Some guys, they're going to take a more rounded approach, and then they end up running behind the quarterback. This guy can flatten to the quarterback, produce the sack. Isaiah Thomas, very high on him, 6'0", 4'6", 268. He's got the size and the length to play just about anywhere along the defensive line, especially in today's pass-happy NFL. His teammate there, Perion Winfrey, nose guard, 6'0", 3'2", 298. Just finished up his first year at Oklahoma after transferring from, I believe it was Western Iowa, or Iowa Western, excuse me. Number one, he went to OU over offers from Alabama, LSU, Texas. So, I mean, this guy is a stud athletically. He's very gifted. Despite being a nose guard, he's an outstanding athlete for his size and position. He's excellent staying on his feet. One of those guys you seldom see on the ground, very physical, both versus the rush and versus the run. Really like his opportunity to continue to ascend. I think Perion Winfrey is going to be a stud in the NFL. He's going to be a household name come, really next February once everyone has some time to watch more film. He's only going to get better here in a second year at Oklahoma, second year at a Division I, football factory. So I expect Perion Winfrey's stock to, continue to skyrocket. Down I-35 there at Texas A&M, Michael Clemens, defensive end, 6'0", 4'7", 265, big old 10.25-inch hands, 34 3/4-inch arms, excellent versatility with his size, length, physicality, combination to rush from either the outside or, again, reduce down over the guard. Plays with violent hands and does not stay blocked. Reminds me a lot of former fellow Aggie Michael Bennett, who was, famously with Seattle, Dallas, New England, and Tampa Bay, where he won some Super Bowls. And with his movements, that is, Michael Clemens reminds me of Michael Bennett and the way he can impact from both a run and pass game standpoint. Up at West Virginia, staying in Big 12 here, Rick, we got Dante Stills, the brother of former NFLPA Bowl participant Darius Stills, 6'0", 4'0", 274, 9.5-inch hands, 32 3/8-inch arms. He plays more of the DN and kind of their 3-down base, but as we know, teams don't stay in base offense or defense very frequently. So he, a lot of the times, ends up playing either the 3 or the 1 technique. True senior. He's been a force every year. He's been there on campus. Double-digit TFLs each of the past 2 seasons. leads the team now with 12 sacks entering this year. He's one of those players that plays with a lot of quickness. He's got excellent hand usage. He can get skinny through holes. Like his brother, he's a little light as a true defensive tackle as he prepares for the pros, but I expect that he'll put on some good weight, probably be up in the 290s, probably play in the league in the low 300s and be one of those upfield penetrator type guys. And then finally for you, Rick, over at Michigan, Aiden Hutchinson, defensive end, true defensive end. 6'0", 6'3", 261. Again, 10 and an 8-inch hands, 32 and 3/8-inch arms. Base defensive end. He can rush inside as well. Son of former Wolverine captain and great Chris Hutchinson. He only played 3 games last year due to injury, and he doesn't really have a lot of the great career production. But when you watch his 2019 film and even the 3 games he played this year, he is just dominant. I mean, he's the epitome of what you want from a physicality and from an effort standpoint. This guy gives you his all every single play. He's violent. He hits people with bad intentions. I mean, the physicality and effort are just through the roof when it comes to Aiden. And I think with a healthy 2021 season, you're going to be talking about this guy early in the draft.
Yeah, and I think, so when he's in the game, a lot of Kwity Paye's success was with the focus being paid attention to Aiden Hutchinson, who somewhat has been flying under the radar. But to your point, by the time February rolls around, the gentleman that you just mentioned, all of them will be pretty relatively known and household names. One guy I do want to throw out there to you is the Georgia defensive tackle, Jordan Davis, because I know there's a lot of love that I see out there floating around on the media side anyway. I'm seeing this guy consistently in the first round. That is Jordan Davis of Georgia, the defensive tackle. However, his head coach at Media Day, I noticed, he said, I challenged Jordan because he was he ballooned up to 380 pounds. And I think he's now down below 340. But to me, anytime you have a guy that fluctuates in weight 40 to 50 pounds, Dane, I'm a little bit hesitant to invest a first-round pick in.
It's really tough. I mean, for instance, in the spring, he measured 306 pounds, and the NFL teams have that weight. And if he then balloons up to 380, man, that shows you that in a very short amount of time, he can put on some serious pounds. Now, obviously, we know that he's going to get with a quality agent that, they're going to get his body right. He'll probably be 335 come NFL draft time, and, he'll be running a 5'1" or something like that. But, he's a physical man. He's certainly very talented. He's one of those guys, though, that you have to be able to affect the passer in today's NFL. And you don't always see that consistently with Jordan. He's talented. He's a great run stuffer. I think he still has upside to be able to rush the passer a little bit. But in today's game, if you can't hit the quarterback, it's really tough to invest one of those top 3-round picks in you.
No, I agree. And if you're watching at home, you see the Jordan Davis plays going on as we speak. But what a great segment. Good to be talking some NFL draft here on the State of Football. It's been a star-studded slate of guests throughout the week, and we got into some nitty-gritty. If you're just tuning in, we touched base on the Deshaun Watson trade rumors, also got into some of the unorthodox coaching methods being used around the league, which is Joe Judge and Urban Meyer, some interesting stuff out of Dane here, and he'll be along for the ride each and every Thursday on the State of Football. This is Wednesday, August the 5th. He'll be back next Wednesday on the 12th, and we'll break down some edge rushers. Every team always looking for an additional pass rusher, Dane, so we'll break those down next weekend. Anything in terms of the NFLPA Collegiate Bowl updates, watch list, things that you want to put out there to the listening audience, you can go to collegiate.nflpa.com for more information. Again, January 22nd at the granddaddy of them all, Rose Bowl.
That's right. No, as far as our watch list is concerned, just like last year, we'll get it out late August as we lead up to the season. We'll do it position by position, give our viewers and fans an opportunity just to see some of the guys that, we're going to have our eyes on. But as we always say, Rick, the watch list is just a starting point. And just like Joe Burrow lesson tells us from 2 years ago, just because you start somewhere at the beginning of the year doesn't mean you can't, rise up meteorically or even fall. So it's just a place where we're going to start, Rick, and obviously looking forward to doing our due diligence and getting our eyes on some really talented players and getting them out to Pasadena.
Yeah, I can't wait. I already got the duffel bag ready to go. Just send me on the next destination. Dane Vandernat, NFLPA Collegiate Bowl Director here on the State of Football. Thank you, Dane.
Thanks, buddy.
Appreciate you. That's the man breaking it down. I mean, you saw me feverishly jotting down the notes, and that's because Dane breaks it down with the best of them, and we are going to continue to bring the best talent we possibly can find, combing the country and spanning the globe. 43 players drafted this past year, up from 15 the previous year, and so this will be our third year working together as we continue to field the best roster we can possibly find. So always fun talking football with Dane. Always fun talking football with this next man, Dane, Neil Stratton, the CEO of Inside the League, who did a marvelous job filling in for me during my final week hiatus there in July. Neil, good morning. How are you today?
Bro, it was all Bo. I don't think it was me at all, man. I would like to take some credit, but I think it was all Bo. It was actually Bo. Believe it or not, he's actually was working with kind of like a hand puppet. I mean, everything that I said was actually him talking with me, coming out of my mouth. So it's cool, man. No, we had a blast. It was a great week. A lot of fun with all the guests. Of course, I have a new respect for what you do. I already respected what Sam did. So, I'm so glad that you're on that side this week and I'm on this side.
Well, no, I mean, I'm glad you got some weight and some pull, because I had initially reached out to Bo about being part of the show. And, Bo, he's Hollywood now, so he just blows me off. So I was happy to see that you were able to pull some strings and get him on. And, there's so many great tales from our travels and tribulations throughout the year. So it was a fun time. I got to tune in here and there. It was a lot of fun to watch. Great guests. Thank you. You did a wonderful job kind of highlighting and profiling this NFLPA agent exam that transpired yesterday, I believe.
Well, the agent exam is today. We had 2 days of seminars, and that was Tuesday and Wednesday. And I think they were 5 hours each, I believe. It began at noon Eastern time. And had a few little bugs to work out. This is the first year that the exam was totally online. No one went to Washington, D.C. to meet at the Ritz. So, but first year, I think as first years go of doing anything new, I think it was pretty smooth. And so they'll be taking the exam. I believe the first slots kick off in about 2.5 hours at noon Eastern time. And so we'll see what happens. 454 people taking the exam. About 200 statistically, about 45% of that group. So that'll take us to just under 1,000 agents this fall. That's quite a few, considering that the class hasn't risen over 800 in probably at least 5 or 6 years. They'll be needed, though. There'll be more players with the super seniors this year. It's going to be an unusual next 3 or 4 years with the way the NCAA awarding that extra year of draft to of eligibility to so many players. So it'll be fun to watch.
I already see some players already declaring that they're going to return for the 2022 season and take advantage of that year of eligibility. So it's going to be tough, a little bit tougher anyway for the scouting community. Just we're like scrambling to keep up with these super seniors and senior pluses, and it's going to be a trickle-down effect really for 3 or 4 years to come because of it. Everybody in the NCAA was granted an extra year of eligibility. And for those of you who did not tune in to our draft coverage, Neil had some fascinating numbers, and I'm putting you on the spot here, Neil. You don't have to be exact, but ballpark for those of us in the industry that are interested in SRA numbers. With the COVID, we saw an all-time low. Class was somewhere between 500 and 600 SRAs, which was 50% fewer than the previous year. And what are your current projections, do you think, for next year?
typically we're going to have about 1,500 SRAs signed. That's about how many players actually sign with agents. It's a good marker for how many players are legitimate prospects for the NFL draft. Last year, I think we saw 700, about half of what we typically see. I expect for 2022, we'll get about 2,100, maybe 2,200 because of so many players that stuck around for next year, players that would be starting this year that won't be, that will probably come out. We don't know for sure exactly how it's going to be affected, but with more agents, there'll be more players that they'll sign just by virtue of the fact that they're new agents and they want to sign somebody. So it'll be a bigger draft class, probably a little tougher job for scouts. We talk all the time about what scouts have to deal with and the challenges that they face with people declaring already for 2022, which I had for 23 or whatever, that I had missed that, Rick. That's amazing. What NIL is going to do to the draft class and, kind of how it's going to change, I think, the way players think about themselves, plus the transfer portal. I can't imagine how much work and what a challenge this class is going to be for scouts, for administrators, for everyone who follows the game. I mean, to some degree, it's fun. It gives us something else to follow, and we all love digging into this stuff anyway. But wow, what a challenge! What a job these people have before them. Just trying to figure out who the players are and even where they are. Even Rick, I mean, it's pretty wild and crazy. It's the wild, wild west out there for sure.
It's really unbelievable, and I think there's a cause and effect here because when you talk about 2,000 players signing SRAs, I mean, the ripple effect is, hey, if you want to have your guy train at one of these quote-unquote top facilities, there's only so many spots, too, these trainers can take. So I wonder if supply and demand, I wonder if training costs, one, because they missed out last year, and two, because of the limited spots they have and the influx of players, could training costs be on the horizon?
The thing about that, we could see training costs go down, and the reason is this: players are now going to be expecting some kind of give back to use their name, image, and likeness if they train with the facilities. As you know, these facilities really rely a lot on, hey, this is who we're training. They put out videos on Instagram. They put them out on Twitter. They put them out everywhere. Hey, look at this big, projected first rounder that is in our house. So we don't know how that push and pull is going to work out. And that's something obviously that we're going to track as we go forward. Just so many factors to this draft class, so many new things going on. And we just don't know how the market's going to sort out all this stuff yet. And I don't think we will for several months. We could see training fees go up. I mean, there's so many different variables. I don't know exactly how we read the market, but it will be something interesting to see. Another thing that I think has been a driver of training costs in the past is whenever new agents come on, they've kind of got money burning a hole in their pocket and they want to spend it. And so as they spend more money on training, trainers start to raise their fees. That has a negative effect on, at least if you would talk to the veteran agents about it, on the cost of doing business. So many factors at work here, so many different economic forces that will affect things, and of course we'll be on top of that as we go forward.
That's pretty interesting there, Neil. If I'm understanding what you're saying, and you don't have to say if it's speculation or hearsay speaking to other agents, but yeah, if I'm an agent representing a first round pick and he's training at your facility, well, now this training cost becomes a negotiation too, because hey, are you taking pictures? Are you posting on social media? Are you endorsing your brand using my client? Wait a second. That's a good point. And so, the trainers listening are probably hating us right now. The agents listening are saying, interesting. So, hey, that's what we do here on the State of Football every Thursday with Neil Stratton, CEO of Inside the League. We peel back the layers, the onions, and bring you inside the industry. And, of course, Inside the League Combine Seminar will be coming back this year, maybe the last year in Indianapolis. So we look forward to that. The Friday wrap, Neil, I know that you've got your finger on the pulse with this agent exam. You've prepped a lot of these agents for this upcoming agent exam, and you'll be following up and taking their temperature in terms of how it went, what they didn't expect, what went smoothly, what didn't go smoothly, and that'll be in the Friday wrap. What else is cooking on the Friday wrap and the Succeed in Football blog?
We'll be talking about the All-Star landscape. We found out this week that the Hula Bowl is probably going to move to Florida. the all-star landscape, Rick, something that's on your mind, obviously, and a big part of what we all do in this business, that's exploding. I believe we're going to have at least, I think, 2 new games online this year, two games in new locations. We're going to have games that are targeted at certain strata of the draft class. I mean, it's amazing what all you've got to track and kind of sort through and all that kind of stuff. So we'll be talking about that as well. There were some kind of off-the-radar scouting moves with some of the teams. They don't always really put that stuff out there, but we've been tracking that. We'll have that in the wrap, of course. We'll talk about a couple other new developments across the game, but we'll lead off with just the feedback that we get from people who take the exam today. Did they feel like it was easier? Did they feel like it was harder? In 2015, Rick, the NFLPA kind of threw test takers a curveball and made the test appreciably harder. It went from about 60% pass rate to a 45% pass rate, below 50%. And that's kind of where we've stood. Will they make the test harder again this year? Will they test a little differently given the fact that we're on a new CBA? Nobody knows, but we will know tomorrow. Our readers will know tomorrow after we kind of talk to some of the people that were in the room and find out what their takes were on things.
Well, nobody covers the agent industry and the scouting community quite like Neil Stratton of InsideTheLeague.com. You've got my attention with the Hula Bowl news because I did not see that, and we'll just leave that as a tease. I'll have to wait until I receive my Friday wrap, like I do right around like clockwork, man. Right around 7 o'clock each and every Friday. Go to InsideTheLeague.com to sign up for that. Of course, the Succeed in Football.com blog, as well as Moving the Chains, the first of 2 books that Neil published, in addition to Scout Speak, and you can get both of those. Double down, combo it up, go to Amazon and do yourself a favor and get those bad boys. Anything else you want to do? Parting shot for the people at home, Neil, before we let you wrap up?
Man, I think my work for this agent cycle. I'm kind of excited that everyone's going to be in the exam room, so to speak, for starting here in a few hours and for the next few hours, and then I'm taking my family to Florida, and I may leave my phone in Houston. I'm not sure yet, but it's been a long, hard several weeks, and I take my hat off to the test takers, especially the ones we've been working with. They've been arduously on task for a while now, and I'm excited for them. We feel like we're taking this test with them to some degree. Obviously, we want everyone to succeed in football, and so we'll be working hard with them and kind of, again, talking to them. But I think that it's all in God's hands at this point. Hopefully, it's a successful day for them today.
No doubt. Good luck to all the NFLPA agent exam takers. And Neil, enjoy that vacation. Well deserved. Get one of those fancy cocktails with an umbrella in it for me, would you?
Have a great weekend, brother.
Neil, appreciate the time. Always fun chopping it up on Thursdays with Neil Stratton, CEO of InsideTheLeague.com. We popped him on a few minutes early there because I wanted to do some game predictions, and it worked out pretty well. We had him in the green room and popped Neil on there right after Dane Vandernat. We got a throwback from Joe Everett. Going to be the Wild West this season with the NIL. Uncharted waters for sure. Always good to see Joe Everett there in Indianapolis. Of course, grilling it up, man. Got to check out his YouTube page, man. This guy has just got the backyard fire pit. The rub downs. I am enjoying it, Joe, and definitely need to link up and catch up with you, brother. Hope all is well. So another 2 fantastic spots there with Neil and Dane. Of course, if you're just tuning in, it's the State of Football Season 2, Episode 4, Part 263 on this Wednesday, August the 5th, 2021. We covered the Deshaun Watson trade rumors. We got into Urban Meyer down in Jacksonville, a little bit of Joe Judge talk. I'm going to try to chime in tomorrow from Giants camp. Big Law will be holding it down for Football Friday. We'll have Mook Williams from NFL Draft Bible Consulting, co-founder of Vayner Sports. We'll also have Matt Sposta joining us from the Pro Football Hall of Fame Village and the Hall of Fame Village Fantasy Football League that they're starting. Danton Bartow will be joining us, longtime NFL scout, tomorrow on a Football Friday. And we'll see if I have time. I will chime in from the Big Blue training camp And so it is. Craig T. Smith says, hey, it's a great day. It's game day. And with that being said, we're going to get into my predictions and previews. But I want to give a shout out. I haven't shined the spotlight on all of our chat room people. Neil Stratton mentioning some of the new All-Star games. Brian Beasley down there in Shreveport. Getting the Cajun Bowl started up, fired up, ready to go. Tommy Goodhines, of course, from the Hub Football. Robin Backsab, checking in from Sunshine City, Buffalo, New York. Yeah, there's a lot of sun shining down on Buffalo. There's a lot going down in Buffalo. We covered that on Monday with Ralph Ventry in terms of the new stadium, that whole situation. It's definitely a situation down at the Jersey Shore here. Joey Everett, Craig T. Smith, all my chat room people. It's time for, I guess we'll do the CFL season kickoff first. Let's talk some Winnipeg Blue Bombers, the defending champs, taking on the Hamilton Tiger Cats in a rematch of the Grey Cup. And, you know, this will actually be 642 days since the Winnipeg Blue Bombers hoisted that Grey Cup championship. It's the longest hiatus in CFL history, going back to World War II era, 1941 to 1945, where there was a 1,400-day layoff. But the defending champs, surprisingly, underdogs at home against the Ticats, and they look to become the first repeat champion since 2009-2010 Montreal Alouettes. And so, you know, Hamilton seems to be the season favorite. Everybody's on that bandwagon. And, you know, they won a franchise record 15 games there in 2019 before falling short to Winnipeg. And so it looks like Jeremiah Masoli's back in the saddle there for the Ticats after a 12-game absence there 2 years ago. He's back now from injury, but keep an eye on this situation because Dane Evans had that team rallying, ready to go. 5-game winning streak there to end the regular season on their way to 15 wins. And so we'll be monitoring that. However, I believe Zach Collaros is going to really shine here and upset. I guess it's an upset. I don't know. They're the defending champs. How is this an upset? Well, Vegas says it will be. I'm going with Winnipeg. This is now, you know, you saw Collaros' strong finish with Winnipeg. This is now, he starts the season 3 consecutive years. Winnipeg has had a different starting quarterback. Maybe not a coincidence that they've led the CFL in rushing for the last 3 years. So I intend Winnipeg to continue to ground and pound and play solid defense with Zach Collaros steering the ship. Never mind the stinking points. You can keep the 3.5. I'm going Winnipeg money line outright to take it tonight. It's going to be 8:30 p.m. on ESPN2, I believe. And we will have a Randy Ambrose and or CFL representative soon to discuss the CFL and their upcoming season, which kicks off tonight. We're so happy that they got a new TV deal. And instead of just being featured on ESPN Plus, they'll now be featured on ESPN2 in addition to ESPN News. And so Hamilton at Winnipeg, there you go. Buckle up north of the border. We can't wait. And that game is going to mean something. And all CFL games will be on ESPN2, ESPN News, or ESPN3, which is outstanding. Does that mean I can cancel my ESPN Plus now? All right, so that's the CFL. The first pick is in the books. Winnipeg, money line. Put it in the books. Now we're going to do the NFL preseason kickoff tonight. That one is at 8 p.m., so you're going to have the flicker ready. Going back and forth, that's going to be on Fox. Pittsburgh Steelers versus the Dallas Cowboys at Tom Benson Hall of Fame Stadium. The Steelers here favored by 2 in preseason, and I can understand why. I think that, you know, Dallas is a little bit banged up. I don't expect Ezekiel Elliott to play at all. It has already been determined Dak Prescott, who has a sore throwing shoulder, will not play on the Dallas side. Ben Roethlisberger will not play on the Pittsburgh side. And I do think Pittsburgh takes this one just because I believe if you just examine the quarterback situation here, both teams looking for a viable backup. However, with Pittsburgh, it's a two-man race. With Dallas, it's a three-man race. And I just think the flow of the game, the pace of the game will work in Pittsburgh's advantage because essentially if I'm Mike Tomlin, I'm probably just splitting the half between Mason Rudolph and Dwayne Haskins. I'm letting Rudolph play the first half and Haskins the second half. Or maybe it's vice versa because I kind of know what I got in Mason Rudolph. Haskins being in a new environment with Pittsburgh, I might start him in the first half, let him get some first team reps. Supposedly he's looked fantastic in gym shorts and a t-shirt. So that's how I would work it. I don't know if that's how Tomlin's going to do it, but I think that'll make for just a smoother game pace for the Steelers. Dallas, they're going to be trying to get a look at Cooper Rush, Garrett Gilbert, Ben DiNucci. Who's going to be the backup to Dak Prescott? That's a very important question. I don't think Mike McCarthy even knows at this point. So he's going to have to find a way to get a look at all three of those young signal callers. And a couple things here. I want to watch some young guys. Obviously, on the Pittsburgh side, the rookies of Najee Harris and Pete Freiermuth, baby Gronk there. I go back to when the Steelers were thriving with Vance McDonald, Heath Miller. Now you got add a guy like Freiermuth. And again, Najee Harris, let's be honest, ever since Le'Veon Bell has departed, they haven't quite filled that void. So I believe Najee Harris will get a couple carries here. And then CeeDee Lamb. This guy, everything I've seen and heard, is poised for a breakout season. And so CeeDee Lamb is one player that we'll be keeping an eye on. But I'm going to go Pittsburgh. You know, it's probably a field goal game, so I feel comfortable laying the 2 if I were you. But, hey, if you're betting on preseason football, then you know you got a problem. But, hey, you might just have the fever. Whatever it is, so be it. We do these predictions for entertainment purposes only. But I've got Pittsburgh minus the 2, Winnipeg leaving the points on the table, and just winning the game outright. So those are my first 2 official predictions in the books for Season 2 here on the State of Football. It's been a great show once again with Dane Vandernat and Neil Stratton. Tomorrow's a Football Friday affair with Big Law Lawrence Johnson. He'll be joined by Mook Williams, Matt Sposta, Danson Bartow. Don't miss that one. Of course, yesterday we had the Elf Commissioner along with Amanda Ruler, Franco Harris, Catherine Schlossman. Tuesday, another just around-the-clock extravaganza bonanza. David Baker, Pro Football Hall of Fame CEO, on Monday, along with Brian Baldinger. I caught the David Baker panel last night, actually, with Isaac Bruce, Calvin Johnson, and Donnie Snell. And that was streaming on their Facebook page, so you can go back and watch that. Some cool stuff there. Again, I'll be at Giants camp tomorrow, hopefully checking in on the Football Friday with Big Law, 7 City Shop Talk, Woo World Radio. Time for some birthdays. We've got former Rams and Eagles quarterback Roman Gabriel, 81 years old. How about that? C.J. Spiller, the running back out of Clemson, former NFL, 34. How about former Bengals and Jets head coach Bruce Coslett, turning 75 today? And former Super Bowl MVP Dexter Jackson, 45 today. And then, I did not know this, I see these 2 guys all over the place in New Jersey at various reunions, good friends of the show. 2 men of the 80s and 90s Super Bowl teams there for the New York Giants, Eric Dorsey and William Big Dog Roberts. Big Dog, it's been too long, brother. I hope all is well. But Eric Dorsey and Big Dog Roberts with the same birthday today. Dorsey, 57, Big Dog, 59. And with that being said, we're going to put a ribbon on today's show. This was part 263 edition, the State of Football Season 2, Episode 4. Buckle up. We'll be back at it again tomorrow on Thursday. That'll be August the 6th. In the meantime, Keep it coming, baby. Can't stop, won't stop. We'll see you tomorrow. Appreciate it. Thank you, Sam.